I'm your host, John Myers, live from Stillwater, Oklahoma. We have got a great show tonight. It's John Myers. Hey, everybody. Gotta have my notes. It's John Myers from the Kicker UnMasked studios. Gotta have my notes. Alternator. Hey, everybody. We have fun. Hey, everybody. Hit like and subscribe. Right here, right now. It's John Myers. We like to give stuff away. Alternator. Post some more pictures. We got to thank Steve and Becky live from Stillwater, Oklahoma. Don't forget Texas Roadhouse right here, right now. Hey, everybody. Don't forget right here, right now. We have got a great show tonight. Hey, everybody. Had a great dinner tonight. It's John Myers. Right here, right now. Had a great dinner tonight. So, hey, everybody. So, housekeeping. Had a great dinner tonight. So, alternator. Housekeeping. Housekeeping. 11:30 on Tuesday night. Housekeeping. From the Kicker UnMasked studios. Housekeeping. Right here, right now. Hey, everybody. So, it's John Myers. Hey, everybody. It's John Myers from the Kicker UnMasked studios. Hey, everybody. From the Kicker UnMasked studios. It's John Myers. Right here, right now. We have got a great show tonight. Hey, everybody. We have got a great show tonight. It's John Myers. Hey, everybody. Right here.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is Aaron Malin with the Kicker Tech Force. Tonight we are talking about big bass demo systems. And I did say bass, not bass, because we happen to have our bass fishing expert, Mr. Jeremy Brown, in the building tonight. So we're going to be talking a little bit about bass, but a lot about bass as well. We're going to have Kyle Clipo Rutherford coming into the feed, and we're going to talk about his massive kicker build. In addition, tonight, we have Mr. Stephen Bambrow hanging out behind the cameras and communicating with the whiteboard. Thank you, Stephen. Of course, we've got JW, Mr. Bullfrog, and Ernie in the studio tonight. So we got the whole gang here helping us out, waving at you. Hello, good evening, guys, back there. Yeah, Bill's actually doing his homework, I think. So we're going to do that tonight, so please hang out for about 30 seconds. We're going to bring Jeremy into the seat. He's in the green room getting a massage. He just needs 30 seconds to finish up, and we'll be right back, so stay tuned.
Music is my passion, my livelihood, and it's in my DNA. My pals at Kicker Marine Audio gave me a chance to take the music, what I love and listen to, at home, on stage, and in the car, onto the water. Hi, this is Jason Bonham, and I want to say a big thank you to my friends at Kicker Audio for inspiring the songs and the stories behind the music that inspires America. Go overboard!
Welcome back. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Of course, most of you actually know my co-host. This is Mr. Jeremy Brown. And Jeremy's been a kicker how many years now?
25 next month. 25 years, yeah.
So he started when he was 12, and he's now, he's what, 35, 40, something like that?
Thank you.
And it's a good-looking man, right? He's been around a while, and of course, I refer to him as our resident bass fisherman expert because you've actually won some money fishing for bass, right?
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah.
Not enough to retire.
Oh, no, I'm not retiring from bass fishing, but that's something I do. That's one of my hobbies outside of work is catching bass and chasing them around on the weekends. So yeah, I've done that for several years. I think I started tournament bass fishing in 2007.
Wow.
Yeah, and I just something I've always done, but I found a way to have a little more fun at it.
Now, have you noodled?
Oh man, y'all are gonna judge me. Yes, I have. Yes, I have.
You've noodled, okay.
Yes, I have.
Okay.
I've grabbed catfish out of a hole in the river.
So when I came here in 2007, I heard about this noodling thing, and I thought guys were just making this stuff up, like, you know, trying to punk me or something. But no, it's true.
No.
How do you do that?
It's a real thing. This time of year, actually, big flathead catfish will go in holes in they get in holes under rocks or boat ramps or something like that.
Barrels.
Yeah, barrels. You're not really supposed to use barrels.
I didn't say barrels.
In Oklahoma, some states you can. But yeah, they're pretty easy. If you can hold your breath for long enough, you can reach in and grab them by the mouth and pull them out.
I didn't think about that part.
Yeah.
So you have to go into the water with them.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. They're usually very shallow though, so it's pretty easy.
And how big are these things we're talking?
Usually they can be as small as 10 or 12 pounds and as big as 60, 70 pounds. And it's underwater wrestling, so it can be a little dangerous, but a lot of fun.
We should do a show about that. We'll go out to the river and we'll just film something.
We can. We can. I will watch now. I don't do it much anymore.
Does Lance still do it?
I don't know if Lance still does it or not.
Hey, Lance, if you're watching, which I'm sure you're not, you've got something else to do tonight, let us know if you still do noodling. But you're not here to watch us talk about noodling. I know that. We're here to talk about big bass. Big bass. So where are we with helping guys develop big kicker systems?
Well, it's something that we've always done. Kicker's always been very involved in stereo competition or shows. When we did the old Rolling Thunder shows, that was way before my time in the late 80s. In the mid 90s, we assembled a really big competition team with the help of Greg Davis and Steve Uthier and Jay Tonsfeld, and really a lot of people up here were big parts of that. And I happened to end up getting involved in that in the early 2000s. Greg Davis drugged me in because we started kind of heading down this SPL direction, which before that it was sound quality. And there was some SPL involved in some of the sound quality competitions. And there was some SPL builds that were in the 80s and 90s that everybody probably remembers. I mean, that's when Gates started, Team Gates, Alma Gates, and Patrick Gates, and Mark Vacuda, and all those guys started showing up at the events, and they're kind of what we have now, which is more of a demo system. But their SPL scores were measured, and it was an actual competition still. And in the 2006, 2007, the scene kind of started dissolving.
Right.
I mean, there was a lot of things happening with the world. We're starting to head into kind of a recession.
Yeah, the finances stopped
Finances kind of stopped. And that affects everybody, not just big companies.
Yeah.
And so that stuff started kind of dissolved, and we had to change our focus a little bit on where we were spending our marketing dollars.
Right.
And when there's not a lot of return there, because there's not many people there, and you aren't influencing anybody. I mean, with your product, or you aren't showing anybody what you have, it's kind of hard to spend money on it. While we were away, a lot of things happened, and it slowly started coming back in a different way. There's more competitors in the lane doing SPO and sound quality than there has been in a long time, and we recognize that. There's also something else that's come along, which is these huge demo vehicles, which you'll see all the hair moving and all the panels breaking and towels and babies floating in the window.
Drew breaking hatches.
Yeah, Drew Jones breaking the hatch off of his VW. And we recognized that and decided that it was time for us to start getting back involved. We, I think it was 2017, Steve Irby and Aaron Surratt had a conversation, and I think maybe Travis Young and Yui had some influence on this too.
Yeah.
The JY Power guys, they reached out to us, and we started having some conversations, and we went back and Aaron was invited out to Slamology to check it out, and he was like, "Man, it is back and it is big."
Yeah.
And that was he wrote a trip report about that, and we started going back to the shows and kind of checking out the scene all the way around the country, and realized that if we didn't get back involved, we were missing out.
Yes.
Because
yes.
it kind of grew out of our sight.
Yes.
It grew
yes.
back into something out of our sight. And it changed. Like I said, there's still a lot of SPL competitors. There's still a lot of sound quality competitors. But there's also these big demo builds, and that attracts a lot of attention.
Yes.
And it's neat what they're doing, and there's a lot of companies that are involved, and they do a great job of supporting these groups. And we felt like it was important that we got back involved.
You know, I'm sorry to jump in on you, but I was
That's
thinking
okay.
something else that really cool that changed is we started to see a lot more boutique brands, subs, amps, speakers, and just smaller builds doing smaller numbers of high quality product. And that was kind of like, hey, yeah, there's a lot more people getting interested on the manufacturing side as well as the competitor side. So that's kind of exciting too.
No, it is. It's really cool. It takes it's neat to see a group of people that require a certain type of product
Yes.
actually help build companies.
Yes,
and
that's right.
And that's kind of what's happened. You know, these guys knew these manufacturers knew that these people wanted this type of product,
Yes.
and they just got right on the R&D and made some great products for them.
Yeah.
And we recognized that. Man, it's important for us to be involved too. And this is our stuff, man. We've
Yes.
been there forever.
Yes.
And we stepped away. It got away from us a little bit. And
We're back,
We're
baby.
back involved. We're back involved. So we came out with big products like this and what you see in front of us. And we're starting to get them out there. And people are seeing that they do really well.
Well, and our guest today, Kyle, he's a big part of that. So actually, before we get into how you and Kyle got connected, what do we say we bring Kyle in and talk to him? Say
Absolutely.
hello. So,
yeah.
So Ernie, let's bring Kyle in and welcome him, and then we'll talk more about how we got connected with Kyle. Good evening, Kyle. Welcome.
How are you, dude?
Oh, I got to turn on. I can't hear him because I didn't turn myself on yet.
I don't have
Kyle,
mine.
you there? Kyle, can you say hello?
I don't think you can hear us.
I don't think Kyle can hear me. Hey, Ernie, I can't hear Kyle.
Oh, I'm here.
Oh, he was
There he
muted.
is. There he is.
I'm good.
We got him. We got him.
Can you hear me?
Oh,
Yes,
yeah,
we
absolutely.
got you now. Welcome, Kyle. Thanks for being on tonight. It's good to have you. And you and I actually haven't met, which is kind of funny because I do think you owe me a royalty check. Is that correct? Something
problem.
about some
Thank you.
wasted information? No? Can Kyle hear us?
That's right.
It's a little delayed.
Oh, there's a bit of a delay.
That's
yeah.
right. Yeah.
Yep.
So I actually dubbed the van "Wasted Information."
Yeah, well, thank you very much. I appreciate that. Because, I'm Mr. 40 Hertz, right? You probably knew that.
I'm glad you own that, Aaron. I know where that all came from. It's
Hey,
funny.
Ernie,
That's a
can
funny
we
story.
reboot Kyle? Because
So let's ask him to log out.
Kyle, can you log out and then log back in? Because the delay is substantial. See? 48 minutes later, he got my message. All right, thank you, Kyle. We're going to bring Kyle back in. We had some technical difficulties.
That happens when you're streaming from a ways away sometimes.
He's like in Indonesia or something, isn't he?
Yeah, I think
Or no,
so.
Chicago maybe.
Yeah, I don't know.
One of those faraway places. But
it's actually North Carolina.
So while we're waiting for him, why don't you tell us, how do we get connected with Kyle? How does that happen?
I've been following his work on social media for a while, and I knew that he was a pretty popular guy.
Yeah.
And he was well spoken, and he's kind of the type of person that we would want to help represent our brand.
Mm-hmm.
And I was real impressed with his work. He had some really cool demo builds, and he worked with some people that I have known for a long time that were in the industry. He worked with Nate Munson and Chris Munson, and I met Nate in the early 2000s. He used to run a single Solo X and a little orange Extreme car, a single 12 Extreme SPL car. It was a single 18, I believe, in Extreme SPL.
Is it a Honda?
I believe
Orange
it was a Honda. Yeah.
Okay.
And so I'd been following Kyle He probably didn't know that, but I've been watching
Cyber stalker?
I've been watching what he was doing on Facebook, and
Oh, hey, Kyle, can you hear us?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yeah, you're in
Perfect.
sync now. Awesome.
Sweet.
awesome.
Okay. Sorry about that, Kyle. We apologize for the technical difficulties, but we were just talking about how we connected with you, and we were learning that Jeremy was stalking you.
Yep, I was stalking him.
Well, that's a pretty good stalker to have there.
Yeah.
But actually, I caught up with him. We've been, mildly supporting his show. He has a really cool show.
Yep.
Out in North Carolina in the Fayetteville area, and they have it at a drag strip, and it's a charitable event, which makes it even cooler. But Aaron and I went out there last November to his show, and it's kind of funny. I didn't know Kyle personally. I'd met him once at Slamology when he did a run with his with his other build. He has another build with Sundown that's super loud. It's in the 180s in the bass war category. And I was really impressed with the way he conducted himself. We were out there, and I was kind of a little bit nervous because I didn't know him very well about approaching him. And I'm not really a nervous person, but when I was like, man, I'm looking for somebody out in this area that wants to do a big kicker demo build, and I was wondering if you had anybody in mind. And he was like, yeah. He was like, I think he was a little bit bummed that I didn't just come out and ask him first. But
Tell us, Kyle, what your side of the story?
Well, first off, when he approached me, I thought I was in trouble. I was like trying to backtrack to make sure I didn't say anything wrong somewhere. But it blew my mind that he was looking for someone in the area. So it was one of those things. Is like, well, if I had the opportunity, I would love to. And so it actually worked out really well, in my opinion. I'm pretty amped to actually do this for you guys and something on the East Coast to promote your products and stuff like that. So, heck yeah, why not, right?
That's cool.
Yeah, and we're grateful to have him. I mean, Aaron Surratt was like, I think he's beating around the bush. He wants you. And,
Aaron's not subtle.
Yeah. There's no nerves. There's no nerves in that guy. But so I didn't know him very well, honestly. Just what I'd seen of his work. I liked the way he conducted himself. I thought he was a good fit to be an ambassador for our product.
Yes.
So I'm really glad that he said yes, because he's got a cool build he's working on. I mean, and he went at it really quick. I mean, he didn't waste any time.
Yeah.
Jumped
No
right
wasted
in.
information.
Yeah, no wasted information.
See what I did there? So, Kyle, some of our audience members know how you got the name Clippo, but for those that don't, tell us about Clippo.
Okay, well, so Clippo is actually a 1998 Tahoe. We have actually, the first person to actually work on the Tahoe Clippo at the time, before this was this beautiful, it was Jared Gibson with G-Forks. We put 4 18-inch ZV4 Sundowns in there. And after we played with that a while, look, there's a extreme drive-through. That was pretty cool. Clippo got its name because the majority of the time when I demoed, I give it all it got. I mean, as far as smelling, you smelt me before you even got to the vehicle. And I had one of my good friends, Stacy Ray, up in Canada. He actually trademarked or kind of named my build Clippo. So, and then Jared we demoed quite a bit with that box, but I was ready to actually step it up another notch. So I got with 252 Customs, which is Justin Haddock and Ryan Maxey. They've got a steel cage build. What you're seeing here is the actual cabin. We'll get to that part in a second.
Okay.
But the steel cage was built and the box was built by Justin Haddock of 252 Customs. Now that interior that you're looking at right now is 100% metal, and I have to give full credit to that to Hunter Martin. He actually is an awesome fabricator. You pretty much think it and he could put it to life.
Yeah.
There's plenty more pictures. Feel free to check out my personal page on social media on Facebook. There's tons and that's when we were doing the 418s with the G-Forks. Plenty of battery power. At that time I was those are all used. I wasn't sponsored. I'm just trying to buy what I can find, and if it works, I'm pretty easy to get along with, but that's just everything Clippo was actually built underneath a carport, the one you're seeing.
Oh, wow.
So, and that's the 181.3. We did that with the door off. So
Wow.
the cabin you just seen didn't have the console in it, but the console was in there to achieve this goal. So we had 12 compact Neo V3s on 6 Sundown 12Ks. So,
Wow.
but yep.
So you mentioned the guys that help you build these systems. So are you the brains behind it, and then you just tell them what you want, or how does that work?
I'm not really the brains behind anything. I'm more or less I'm more or less just let me just tell you what I want. Can you make it happen?
Okay.
And the 1212s on the flat plane on the back in the fourth order was actually, several people were saying that they can't get that to actually work in that vehicle because of the size. I've got the idea from my good friend Michael Jenkins. He's the one that told me that if he could ever build a build, he would definitely do 1212s on a flat plane in the back. So I kind of stole that from him. But Justin Haddock of 252, he actually got it to work. There was a lot of manipulating on the roof and on the side just to get that work. But we had to shave a few baskets, but it worked out really good.
Sure.
So.
Oh, that's cool. That's cool because it's like a kicker. We've got a team of engineers that work with Steve, and it's not just one guy or two guys that can do it all. You've got to have that team of experts to pull together all the ideas.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, it's better to if you can. I mean, it's hard to it's hard to go cowboy and just do it all on your own.
Right.
And you don't always make a lot of friends doing that either. It's fun working with people.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I'm really lucky to actually be able to know all these guys that are in this industry, because if you don't know, you could know one person that doesn't know everything like you're saying, and then I know somebody else, and you kind of get talking to them and you bring them into the project, which actually helps promote their businesses also.
For sure.
So.
Speaking of businesses, Ruckus is an event, but it's also a charity. Tell us a little bit about that, and let's see some images of that.
Okay, yeah, sure. So Ruckus and Chill show, which actually the first year of Ruckus was actually called Turn Down for What show. I actually went to the Sundown show and I was like, hey man, I can make this happen. So I started, me and my buddy Brandon Eason at the time of Ain't Loud, we actually started a car show at the old Walmart parking lot in Spring Lake, North Carolina.
Nice.
That kind of raised a lot of flags for the cops and everybody like that. So they asked us not to do that again. But anyway, so here we are 9 years later. Show has grown. We've donated, I would say easily over $40,000 to children's charities, veterans charities, stuff like that. And how we raise that money is, companies as yourself, Kicker, or Excess Power, or Sparked Innovations, they all donate stuff to us, and we actually raffled that off at the show on Saturday. So we raised that money from 9 o'clock that morning to 5 o'clock in the afternoon. That's all the money. So it's pretty cool. We get a great turnout. It takes about 2 hours to do the raffle in entirety because I have to call the numbers out and stuff. So.
Is there one coming up this summer, or is it in the fall?
No, it's coming up. It's November, I believe we got 18th and 19th at the Fayetteville Drag Strip.
November 18, 19. Okay, cool.
Yep, and you can search it on Facebook at Ruckus and Chill 2023.
How do you spell Ruckus?
Ruckus.
Okay, Ruckus. All right, I want to make sure that Bill tags that in our social as well when we hit the fall.
Nice.
So we talked a bit about how we guys got connected, and let's talk about what you're building with Jeremy's expertise. What is it you're doing exactly?
Okay, so we've got a 2000 Astrovan. Yeah, I know everybody's told me that's not the loud version, but it's gonna be loud. Trust me, and it's gonna be below 40 hertz.
Yes.
So
hence the name.
That's right. So right there in that picture, I've actually reached out to a good friend Nick in Monroe, North Carolina. He owns Cash's Candy Classics. He does a lot of air systems for classic cars and also C10s and bodies, but he specializes in classics. And I reached out to him, and he's got his own brand of air systems. So he's actually getting me geared up. We've got the front done, but we have to take some different measures for the back because it's a lot. It's a lot to it versus just slapping bags on. We have to actually do like a link system. A link system and all that stuff to actually get that work, but because there's going to be a lot of weight in there.
So that's more experts surrounding you.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Yeah, it was neat when when we got some of the product out to him. He sent us a picture of the woofers and the wood, no steel or anything, on a scale, on a shipping scale, and it was like 1,755 pounds, and just woofers and wood. And there's some of it right there you can see.
Wow.
So big measures have to be taken whenever you're going to.
That's right.
build
Hopefully,
a
there's no
demo.
shows over the mountain because it's going to be that V6 and there's going to be hate it.
Oh, you're driving it. It's not Trailer Queen.
Oh no, this is going to be a daily build. So
Wow.
and so that's a lot of the actual suspension that I'm trying to make it look nice and clean, very presentable. But everybody's saying that I need to do, if I wanted to make it really super low, I'd have to actually do something with the gas tank, and I didn't want to, I didn't want to take up too much space. So
Sure.
Yeah. So you're. Let's talk about the product you're going to use. We touched a little bit on the 16 Solo X12s.
right, a few.
A few. Yeah. So that's going to be a huge.
That's a pallet worth.
Yeah. It's 16 of them, I believe. You and 252 talked about what would work the best in that Astro, and
Yep.
tell us
so
a little bit about
so we're-
making that decision.
I got you. So we're going to do like the steel cage, of course. It's going to be 1 inch by 2 inch steel tubing. Of course, we're going to do a 6th order build. It's going to be a horizontal plane firing up, like you see a lot of these demo vehicles nowadays. We're going to aim around for starting around for 26 to 56 hertz in tuning. I know some guys are like tune lower, but I prefer 26 and 28. That's low to me. I still appreciate you guys that play the 8 hertz and stuff like that. But my main goal is to show you boys out there that the kicker is going to play below 40 hertz, and you're going to love it. You're going to love it. So,
Awesome.
but more or less, just we plan on doing some door panels, some, I guess you would say, mids and highs in the back doors and stuff like that.
And you've got the ST, these here for
Yes.
the back doors and front doors.
That's right. I've got the 7-inch and the tweeters, the 2-inch tweeters.
How many of those are we doing?
How many did you end up with, Kyle?
I have more than a baker's dozen. I have about 30 of them.
Wow.
Yeah,
Well, I mean, 16, 12s, you have to have
Yeah.
stuff that'll keep up, right?
that's
Yeah.
right. That's right. So, I'll add stuff, but as far as getting it tuned, that's not my forte. I'll keep adding stuff and let my guys over there at 252 take care of getting everything
Yeah.
sounding right. So,
Well, it's awesome to have a group of guys that you have faith in with your
Oh, yeah.
equipment, and
Absolutely.
they're going to dial it in and do it right for you.
absolutely.
So, and then amplifiers. You have some amplifiers on the way, I guess, maybe toward the end of the year.
Okay.
What model amps are you using?
I think we're going to use a Warhorse per subwoofer. So we're going to have to figure out where we're going to put all these amplifiers,
Yes.
all the air ride system. Because you can't remember, we have to have 2 air compressors and an air tank. So we have to figure out where all this is going to fit. So it should be interesting.
So you're really challenging your friends with this build, right?
Yes. My suspension guy at Cash's Candy Classics, he was just like, so where do you want to put this in the back? I was like, no, we have to stick it underneath the vehicle somewhere. So he was up for the challenge. So luckily, I've got good guys working with me.
Fantastic. So 16 Warhorse 3600.1s and 16 L7X12s, 30 or so mids and tweeters.
30 mids and tweets, yeah.
So we're on our way. What did you have? What about for your charging system? I mean, what have you settled on anything there yet?
So we've got I pretty much nailed down a sponsor for the alternators. We've got 2 MechMan 400 Elite Series, the billet style. We've got 2 of those gold series just to match the Kicker gold
Nice.
logo. And as far as batteries, Limitless Lithium has reached out to me, and we're going to do at least 8 or 10 of the retros. So it's going to have a good reserve in the back. So we're going to go with the lithium in the back.
perfect. Limitless lithium in the back, huh? All right.
We got a question from the audience. Hold on just a second there, Kyle. We've got some guys and girls who want to ask you some questions. So 898 Dofo, question for Kyle. Did you ever have a chance to hear Steve mix 4 Kicker 18s in his van back in the late 2000s?
I did not. I appreciate you thinking I had just graduated in '99. So
Okay, so the answer is no, but thanks for asking.
yes.
Another question, it's the log. Can you ask Mr. Clippo how extreme the cabin will be?
That's a
What
good
are you
question.
doing with the cabin?
So the cabin's going to be, actually, I'm glad you asked that. The cabin is going to be all deadened with sound. We've got Second Skin Sound Deadener. They're also a sponsor of the build, so we're going to be using all their products in the actual cabin. I will not be doing any type of extreme cabin at all. More or less, it's just going to be a lot of deadener. But we've got we've got some things to look at. Do I want to demo with the doors closed? Do I want to demo with the doors open? How many times do I want to replace the doors? Because we all know once we start hitting those low notes, those doors start clapping. So that's right.
Let's take another question. So El Fuego, hey El Fuego, haven't seen you in a little while. Solo X Warhorse 10K per pair of subs. Oh, he wants 10,000 per pair of subs. So
No, not in this case. I mean,
yeah,
we've seen those the 3.6Ks are little warhorse. I mean, we've seen them around or over 4,000 watts. So, that's about what he's going to have per sub.
yeah, so about 4.
Yeah, I know. Big D did a video where he was able to get a lot more power to these subwoofers, and I would, I'd expect some people will do that,
Yes.
but I don't know that it's necessary for this situation. You're moving a lot of air with 16 subs and
Right.
And 4,000 watts per sub. You're going to move a lot of air.
So actually, Kyle, this is a good thing to talk about real quick. So some guys are specifically building a SPL build to play with a microphone, and that's it. And then guys like you're building a system to play music, a demo system.
That's right.
Obviously, there's sort of different design parameters, and kind of what's your process when you're kind of thinking what you want to do, whether it's SPL for competition or just a fun demo?
Well, I'd actually talked to Justin about that before we started doing anything. He was like, "What's your main goal?" And I was like, I loved Clippo in the beginning, where I could just go out there and have fun, make people smile, and remember the experience. So that's what I was more or less aiming for with this one. I want that experience for people just to enjoy music and hear what these subs can do. So we're going to aim toward just a very nice musical build. And it's not saying that we won't hop in the lanes in the bass wars just to see what we can put up on the board for kicker. So
sure. Thank you. So from your perspective, what's the difference between those kind of builds?
Well, there's a big difference. I mean, I like to say there's a big difference, but those guys are that are doing the dedicated SPL stuff where they're burping at one frequency, and they've got their whole entire system built around that frequency. I mean, there's a lot of science and math and testing that's involved, and they know what temperature it's going to do, what number. The guys that are really good at it, and they're always fighting for tenths of a dB so they can stay competitive in the lanes. And a lot of those guys are using a manufactured product, but they're pretty customized product too.
Yeah. Like a dragster would be.
Right, just like a dragster would be. So I mean, they're very specific on what coil they're using, what form of material they have, the weight of the cone, what surround thickness they're using, how big of the roll that is on the surround. So they're very meticulous about what they're using. And while it's very fun, the demo stuff is really fun because people that have never experienced car audio, like Kyle said, you put a big smile on somebody's face. I mean, if you go and see all the people that are at big shows like Ruckus and Chill and Slamology and Scraping the Coast and XS Show or Surf City, there's people that come in that aren't, really, they're checking out audio, car audio builds because they like it and they enjoy car audio and they enjoy audio, but they get blown away by the experience they have in these big demo rigs. It's neat to see the smiles on people's faces. It's neat to see the enthusiasm that they leave with.
Yes.
And I can almost bet if they don't already have product in their car, they're going to end up with something in their car when they leave.
Oh, yeah.
And if you give them the experience with the song they're familiar with, and when they hear it again in their personal vehicle,
Yeah.
they'll remember that time. So it's kind of
Yeah.
one of those things that links you back to, remembering what happened. So.
Well, this is a really good point for when I was in retail. In order to really give someone the experience of why they should spend more money on brand XYZ, to have them listen to a demo in my car or one of the shop guys' cars, that demo would completely change the experience, because most people have never heard high quality audio in a vehicle. And now they may have heard a trunk rattling at a red light next to them, and they think, oh, that's just a bunch of garbage.
Right.
But to hear the music in the car the way it's expected, the way that you intend it from the artist, that's a whole different experience.
It sure is. And I think that most all of us that are involved in car audio in any way, they remember the first time that they heard a really nice sounding system,
Yes.
whatever age they may have been, and they were hooked probably from then on, and it's something it's a memory, like Kyle said, that never leaves you,
Yes.
and you'll hear the song that you heard again 20 years later in a different, even if you're in your car or not even somewhere, and you're like, man, I remember hearing that in Kyle's vehicle.
Clippo.
Yeah, in 2017 at Slamology, and it was 13.
Blew my hat off.
Yeah, it was raining, of course, and so but it's neat, that experience. I think everybody has one that's involved in car audio or a fan of car audio. They have that experience, or they have that memory of the first time that they've heard something sound really good in a car.
Great question. Clippo, what's the first awesome demo you had as a young man?
Oh, man. I would say easily, if anyone's from the Eastern North Carolina area, it would be Team Nemesis. They actually got me into the extreme type side of car audio. We've got Scott Bowman. There's so many of those guys, the Team Nemesis guys, but Scott Bowman's build was like, I have to do this. This is what, just because I seen him, turning away people with smiles on their faces, and people are just want to hear just a 10-second song or a 1-minute song or whatever. But I would just say Scott Bowman. Scott Bowman really had a good impact, and then Jared Gibson with his beast that he had with a Jeep. So a lot of those Team Nemesis guys had a huge impact on the extreme side of car audio. Ronnie Smith, Mr. 6.5, he was a huge influence to me getting into car audio, because me and him went to high school together. So,
that's cool.
Yeah.
We got a couple more questions from the audience. Ernie, can you bring up a question for us? Freddie Ross. Good evening, Freddie Ross. How much port area do two kicker L715 Soil Barrack D4s need? That's actually for you. Port area.
Anywhere from 40 to 60 square inches per subwoofer, so 80 to 120 square inches. And that depends on what kind of box volume you're working on. On the smaller side, if you're around 3.5 cubic feet, I'd run 40 square inches, probably 19.5 long. If you're up to around 6 cubic feet, I'd probably shoot closer to maybe 60 square inches and probably 20 inches long or so.
And that's why he's here tonight, ladies and gentlemen. Look at that.
I don't know why I remember that. I think
Freddie, if you want more specific help, drop us an email and we'll get tech support to help you out. So we'd love to help you. But if that wasn't enough, we'll help you out with some more. So drop us a line. Andy, good evening, Andy. Welcome tonight. Andy's question is estimated SPL for wasted information. What do you think? Estimated.
Well, it's going to be estimated. I would easily say I would say demoing around 65s, 70s.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, that's just an estimation. So
that's what I would guess too.
Yeah.
So that's
excellent. Good.
It's going to be a very fun build, guys. It's going to be very fun.
I'm really excited about it, Kyle, man, and I'm really glad that you're on board with us and
hey, man,
helping us out.
Like I said, man, I'm amped up to be here, dude. I appreciate it.
Yeah, man.
So we got another question from the audience. Ernie, Mark. Good evening, Mark. Thanks for being here tonight. Are the Solo X going to be available in a 15?
Yes. So we are going to have a 10 and a 15. I'm guessing they'll be, I don't know, I'd hate to guess again.
Yeah.
But, I want to say that we're going to see them this fall. The 15 and the 10 should be available this fall. I really want to ship them out to a couple other guys that we're helping out too.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I've got their hopes up on them being available then. So hopefully I'm not a liar. But, that stuff is, it's tough to make a long throw square sub. We've said it multiple times.
Yes.
It's difficult. There's a lot more challenges that we have that round subwoofer manufacturers don't face. Not that they don't face challenges and not that they don't do a great job of what they're doing. It's just a little more difficult when you're dealing with a square sub. But we like a challenge, and I think people are going to be very impressed with how they're working out. I've already heard some reports. I mean, I talked to Jimmy Ham from Pro Audio Center this last week. He's a good friend of ours and a great dealer of ours. He did a build with an F250, I believe, and he did a 6th order blow through.
Wow.
And he's doing 3 of these, and he's in the 160s with 3 subs.
Wow.
And a very big amplifier. It's not one of ours, but so I think people are going to be really happy with these as they're. We've seen them filtering out. We've seen people out there using them, and we're starting to see them in people's vehicles. And we're going to continue to see good results, I think. And I think we're going to have a pretty strong following again when we start getting more of these out there.
Bigger and smaller. Well, and just to finish off your point, it's super important to Mr. Irby and the rest of us that we do it right the first time. And when you're doing a project like this, people have high expectations, and so do we. And so it's got to be exactly what we need it to be before we ship it. So that's a big part of the challenge.
Yeah, and we have some pretty strict testing that we do. A lot of our products have to go past 100 hours or go up to 100 hours at rated power with band limited pink noises, which is a very aggressive test.
Yeah.
And that's just a testament to what we're trying to put out there for our people.
That's right.
For our people that support our brand, and we want to make. And I think that's why we've been such a long-lasting brand too, is we provide a reasonably priced product that's going to last.
Yes.
And I know that's all of our goals up here is to do that for our consumers.
The value proposition.
Yep.
One more question from the audience. I saw we had one. Rusty, good evening, Rusty. What about 18s?
Oh, we spilled the beans on that. I didn't, but
Mr. Irby.
We had Steve Irby was on one of these UnMasked shows, and he just went ahead and told everybody.
He did.
Which it's it's his show.
It is.
So
we're here for him.
He can say what he wants. Yeah. So we're working on an 18. We are working on an 18, an L7X18. I don't know when we're going to see it. And I definitely don't want to make any promises on this one. I know we kind of hope to get these out a lot sooner than we did, and we caught some flack over it as we should, but there was a lot of circumstances that caused that, and I think that people are happy with what they're seeing now.
Yeah.
And it's worth the wait. So be patient with us. We're not extremely slow. We just try to make it right.
Yeah, that's good. Good. We got a bunch more questions. Kyle, you're okay on time? Take a few more questions.
Hey, I'm on your time.
Okay. Well, we got Hugh Ruckus Kinsey. There must be a story behind that name. What amps are you using for mids and highs?
Well, he's actually on Team Ruckus.
That makes sense.
Yeah. I think that's a good question.
Can
what
we
got?
That?
Yeah, why not? The Warhorse is going to be a line of amplifiers. It's going to be a series of amplifiers. So we're going to do a 1000.5 or 1000.4, excuse me. Also, it'll be 250 by 4 rated power, but it's going to be much more than that.
Yeah.
And those will be available around the same time as the 3600.1, maybe a little bit after.
You heard it here.
Yeah, I spilled the beans. Sorry, guys. I don't know if I was supposed to say that or not, but I've been knowing about it for a long time.
Monster 4 channel. That's what he's trying to say.
Monster 4 channel.
A monster.
We wanted to make sure, just like the subs, we wanted to make sure we had an amplifier that matched up with our Street Series mids and tweets as well.
Right.
I mean, we've got to have both.
Yes.
So, and that might just be the beginning. We don't know.
Yeah.
Who can tell what's going to happen after
Steve.
that? Yeah. I might have a conversation with Steve tomorrow after this show, since I just told everybody about the 1000.4.
Jeremy, come to my office, please.
Not my favorite.
Oh, boy.
No, he's great, dude.
Next question. El Fuego again. Hey, El Fuego. How many labor hours needed for the build? That's a great question.
That's a really good question.
That is a good question. I don't know. I mean, I can't really give you an exact or estimated, but feel free to check out my YouTube channel because I'll be planning on actually doing updates and stuff like that. And I'll keep a estimated or approximate actual build time on the build. So, but just to get the cage in and the box, I don't think it's going to take too long because this is not the first van that Justin built. So it should
Sure.
be quite fast on the build as far as the wood and the steel cage, but I'm sure that the square subs is going to be a little different than what he's used
Yeah.
to. So
Yeah. Well, I was just thinking while you were talking that as you get into the process, it might be fun to bring you back into the show for maybe 10 or 15 minutes and just kind of give us an update with some pictures.
I love
absolutely,
it. Absolutely, yeah, that'd be awesome.
Okay, cool. Next question. Danny Orella, good evening, sir. Will wasted information get a DSP or a digital signal processor?
I've actually been looking at those. I've talked to a few people. That's more or less going to be if Justin at 252 wants to, to add that into the build. I more or less just take whatever information that he gives me, because he's the one that puts the work in and makes it sound good. I just control that knob. So
Yeah.
The pilot. You're the pilot.
That's
the
right.
pilot, yeah.
You watch the gauges and turn the knob. Yeah.
But I wouldn't be surprised if we actually use a DSP. So
Yeah. Yeah, it's a lot of things to control.
right.
Mike, what bandwidth are you able to run with Kyle's build? Bandwidth, are we talking about frequency response?
I don't know. I'm gonna run all the bandwidth,
All of it.
All of it.
all of it.
Well, I mean, if you're talking about the subwoofer specifically, I mean, it's going to be an obvious 20 to 20K build because he has 30 mids and tweeters
Yes.
to go along with the 16 subs. So, I mean, like Kyle said, all of it.
Full bandwidth.
Yeah, full bandwidth. It's going to be 20 to 20K and maybe even lower than that.
Maybe
We'll s-
8 hertz.
Yeah, I think he said he's steering away from that. He
I'm
likes it,
gonna leave that to Joel Sparky.
but he can run 8 hertz, right?
Next question. Kicker Car, good evening. Is there going to be a bigger amp than the 3600 coming out planned for the future?
I mean, we always are thinking about the future.
Absolutely.
But there's not much I can say about the future right now.
Thank you. Next question. Rusty Evans, good evening, Rusty. What's up, Kyle? How many mids are you running in the doors? I think you threw that out there, 30 of them, or 7-inch.
So the front doors, I believe we're gonna try to fit at least 6 of the 7-inch square ones there, and then we're gonna do at least I guess 3 of the tweeters. I don't know, because I know the actual door panel on the Astro van is pretty simple and flat.
Yeah.
So we're gonna try to squeeze as many as we can in there, but not make it look too gaudy, if that makes sense.
Yeah, yeah.
Try to keep it like the Bronco looks fabulous.
Yes.
It doesn't have to. You don't have to have so much just to make it sound loud, but of course it does look cool.
Yeah, on the 2 weeks
Yes.
ago, the show that Aaron and Roger did, they actually did some sound comparison using our Street Series and our Q Series coaxes, which I think is off camera right here, but they were showing the difference in sensitivity and how that affects.
So, yeah, I watched that show and it was really interesting. I mean, just to see a conventional driver versus one of these pro mids and tweets and how much more output you get. And one of the things that was the most telling to me, we intentionally included this 6 ohm resistor that comes with the tweeters, and we did that for a very good reason. And you can see that if you go back and watch that show in that demonstration, what that 6 ohm resistor does in padding that tweeter
Yes.
down. It really pulls the tweeter's output way down, and it makes it much more tolerable if you appreciate some form of sound quality. It sounds a lot better with the resistor in line. So,
Yes.
folks at home,
Yeah.
if you guys are watching, please use the resistor when you get a chance. I think
Yes.
you'll be
Don't throw it away.
don't throw it away. Yeah. I think you'll be a little bit happier with how it sounds. Now, the cool thing about us, I mean, you can of course pull the resistor out if you need that. And there's going to be times where people do, where they can run one tweeter and multiple mids
Yes.
and have the tweeter. They need a little bit more out of the tweeter. They can remove the resistor, and it makes it
Yeah.
a more versatile product. So you can, take 3 or 4 of these and one of the bigger tweeters, the 1.5-inch tweeters, and run it without the resistor and still have plenty of output
good
for
blend.
the tweeter
Yeah.
to keep up with the mids that you bought. So I don't know, but the people that are running just one mid and one tweet, I think it's in your best interest to use the tweeter if you like your ears, or
That
the
is your
resistor
friend.
if you like your ears. Yeah.
That is your friend. We got a lot of questions, so we'll take just a couple more questions. Shannon, thanks for joining us tonight. Is wasted information going to be 4th or 6th order?
All right. Hey, Shannon. So it's going to be a 6th order build. So this is going to be my first 6th order, but it's going to be many of 6th orders that Justin Haddock's built. So he's really good at 6th orders. Clipo was a 4th order, but I figure we'll switch it up a little bit on there. It should be interesting.
What's the essential difference between a 4th and a 6th order?
So a 4th order is the woofers are in a sealed box and they play into a tuned ported chamber. And what we see as 6th orders these days, it's a ported box that plays into a tuned ported chamber.
Okay.
So he's going to have 16 ported subs that play into a ported chamber that's tuned as well. So you tune the back side of the subs with a port,
okay,
and then you tune the front of the subs with a port as well. So that's what a 6th order is, and they get they're more efficient.
Okay.
They're typically more efficient, so you're going to get a little bit more output, and usually they're easier for people to generate a little bit more low bass. There's ways that you can make that work with 4th order too, but they're just a little more efficient setup with a 6th order design. They're tricky to tune.
Yeah.
It's not something I know I don't want to tune one. I don't want to spend a lot of time trying to tune one because it's really challenging. I would have to be faced with that need to do it.
Yes.
But I know that if I was working in tech support right now, I wouldn't want to be tuning for 6th order bandpass all day because it's very tricky and it's difficult. And I would leave it up to the experts that do it every day, like the Hunter Martins, the Justins, and the Drew Jones. Those guys do it day in, day out. With Drew with Bassaholic Productions, they're going to help you out as well as anybody in the industry can.
Yeah.
That's their whole forte. So
That's cool. Good questions. All right, let's take another question. One more tonight. It's the log. Is Kyle able to do a backflip? He looks pretty athletic.
I think he can.
This is getting a little odd.
Yeah.
I knew I'll have these questions. Now I'm gonna leave that to EXO. I think EXO can do a backflip, so I'm gonna leave that to him. Yeah, EXO he's the man on doing stuff like that.
I could see that. I
Yeah.
could see that.
He's got enough energy, that's for sure.
I think Bruce can do it.
Bruce is awesome.
Yeah.
All right, let's take one more question that's not about doing backflips. Ernie, got another question for us? Manolo, good evening. How much cost in the project when it's done? That's a huge question.
Jeez Louise.
Just a ballpark figure.
I can't hear you. I'm losing you. No, just
Yeah. Yeah. You know, his wife or his girl might be watching, man. That's kind of putting him on the spot. You know, she might not know how much he's spending.
Now, builds like this, they normally, depending on if you're just talking the build itself, like materials, excluding all the equipment, they can cost you up, around, $7,000 to $8,000 just for a legit nice build. But, doing it yourself always saves you money. Of course, there's so many avenues that you can research on Facebook now or YouTube and save a lot of money. But, I've worked with Justin on several things before, and he's actually donating his time and everything. I just have to supply the materials and stuff. But other than that, he's donating his time. So he's a really good, good friend that's always helped me out. So, but as far as that goes, the question, steel, wood, time, I would say if I'm a building it's for someone, I would say around $6,000 to $7,000. That's just me. It might be overpriced, but that's what my time would be worth. So
That seems a bit underpriced to me.
I think I'd charge more.
I have no clue.
Yeah, I think I'd charge more. And Justin is a great friend, man. You got a really good buddy there.
Well, Kyle, thank you so much for your time tonight. It's been a joy meeting you.
Hey, look,
and
Can I give a shout out quick to all the
Yeah,
sponsors
please.
on the build?
Yeah,
I don't want
please
to leave
do.
anybody out because they've helped me out. So of course 252 Customs with Justin and Ryan, and we've got Cassius Candy Classics with Nick. He's doing all the suspension work. We've got Auto Effects in Fayetteville, North Carolina, David and Alex. They helped me out with the 20-inch rims and tires. We've got
Nice.
Sparked Innovations with Ed and Rich. They've done a lot of electrical components that I'll be using in the build. Of course, MechMan Alternators, Tony and Matt. Of course, those guys are awesome. They donated some alternators. Second Skin Deadener, we've got Eric Zuck. Always helping me out. Limitless Lithium, Matt and Chris, and of course Decal Daddies, myself and Jacob Morris. We're going to be doing some decal wraps and stuff like that. And actually Got 160's Jacob Morris. He's going to be doing actual playlists for the build. So
Nice.
we'll have a playlist just for wasted information. So if you guys like rebase music, check him out on Facebook. Got 160's. He's an awesome dude. There you go. That was it.
Oh.
Hey, no, glad you did that, man. It's important to take the time to thank your people that are helping you out.
Absolutely.
And,
They help me out. I just want to do all I can. Once the build gets going, I'm sure there's going to be plenty of footage, and everybody's going to be sharing it. So
So
we're
Kyle,
glad we have the platform for you to be able to thank your people, man. It's nice that that you did that.
it's
Thanks,
nice
guys.
to work with nice people.
It is. It's awesome.
And my producer is saying, Aaron, don't end the show. If Kyle will stick around, please keep him, because we got more questions. So, Kyle, is that okay for you to stick around?
absolutely. I'm all yours. I'm amped to be here, guys.
Okay. Well, then let's take another question. Juan, good evening, Juan. The question is YouTube channel link. You've got a YouTube channel link?
Absolutely. It's under Straight Clipping, as you can see how it's spelled here, STR8CLPN. I can send that link to Bill over there.
Send
and he
Bill,
can
yes,
post it.
perfect. That's great. And actually, Bill can put it in the feed too.
Okay, awesome. Let me get
Next
that going for you.
question. Truckin' and Bass. Kyle, Slamology 2024. Can I get a demo?
Absolutely. You can get multiple. And I can guarantee you one thing. There's going to be a difference between Clippo and this build. I will not be working on it the day before or at the show.
Everybody says that.
Well, yeah. Everybody says that. Not everybody does that.
Yeah.
I'll believe that when I see it, Kyle.
Yeah, even at our level, we're still working on
it's
stuff
the-
at the show.
At the show, yeah. It's just part of the deal.
We had to swap a 15 at the CES booth one year.
Yep. Comes with the territory, man.
Next question, Blake B. Good evening, Blake. Thanks for being here. Any thoughts on why car audio almost always uses series tuned 6th order instead of parallel tuned? That's way beyond me.
I couldn't tell you. Maybe because Bose has a patent on one of them. I think they have a patent on series or parallel tuned. I can't remember. I'm going back like 20 years. But I don't know. Bose has a patent on one. No, I know that they use the series tuned because maybe it's easier to do. I'm trying to think back to what parallel tuned would be. I haven't designed a lot of bandpass boxes in a long time. I do design boxes often, but I can't remember.
Yeah.
I can't give you an honest reason as to why, but we do use series tune, and I know why, because of the efficiency.
Efficiency,
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, and usually the box is about the efficiency.
Sure.
I mean, it's
Sure, and bandwidth. So these guys, especially in these demo vehicles, they're trying to get a big, broad bandwidth.
Yeah.
And, well, some of them are. Some of them want to play super low. I prefer a broad bandwidth.
Yes.
And series tune can do that for you. So can fourth order.
Yeah.
You can get a broad bandwidth with that as well. You just lose a little bit of efficiency.
That's a great question. Thank you. Next question. 25 Hertz to Life. Haven't seen you in a while. Thank you for being here tonight. Are the Solo X 10s, 12s, and 15s sold with an enclosure?
No. Not. There's plenty of enclosure manufacturers out there that have Solo X specific enclosures, but we don't provide one or have a loaded enclosure that we sell.
Do we have a recommendation for some of the guys that are doing really good boxes?
Bobby Gately.
Gately.
Bobby
Yeah.
Gately has a great enclosure. I'm trying to think of a few more. I can't think of them right off the top of my head. I'm just, because all that's popping into my mind is Bobby's box
Yeah.
because they look so awesome.
That's
man.
beautiful. Oh,
GP
Ernie
audio.
GP Audio. Ernie was just hollering at us. GP Audio is one we gave away. So GP Audio is another good enclosure that we work with. Thank you, Ernie.
Also, any of our dealers can build you an awesome box, so feel free to check them out. They'll be able to help you out. And the specs, if you feel like you're capable, the specs are available in the owner's manual. But if you want a pre-made enclosure, I mean, I wouldn't venture too far from Bobby. I'm sure there's other people that we help out that build a great box for them.
Yeah.
But just be careful. Make sure you're getting one that's close or with a reputable box manufacturer.
And if it's too cheap to be believed, it's not the right box for you.
It's probably not.
Box is everything, right?
Yeah, it's a big deal, man. I mean, you can have a really great subwoofer in the wrong enclosure, and it's not a great subwoofer. It doesn't seem like a great subwoofer then because the enclosure is not correct. So,
that's right.
Yeah, make sure you get something that's close to our specs or somebody that really knows what they're doing and is a reputable enclosure manufacturer.
Good. Next question. JT 1970, welcome to the show tonight. I'm running a pair of L712s and a 6 cubic foot enclosure turned at 31 hertz. I'm struggling with a crossover point to achieve a musical but loud experience. I'm at 2 ohms and still breaking subs. Any advice?
You're at 2 ohms, still breaking subs in. Okay. Yeah, man. So with the 6 cubic foot enclosure tuned at 31 hertz, you're probably going to be able to get away with a really low crossover point. I'm guessing that you're going to want to be around 60 to 70 hertz because that sub's not going to play much over that when it's tuned that low. That sub being tuned that low is going to want to play low bass only. So you're going to lose some of that upper end bass with a big enclosure tune down to 31 hertz. So I'm guessing 60 to 70 hertz would be a good starting point. One thing that's cool about active crossovers is you always have the ability to move. I would start at 60 and just move my way up and see if it sounds more musical to you and has a broader bandwidth, but it's going to play pretty much low information only when it's that big of a box tune that low with that subwoofer.
Something else to consider on this is you might be experiencing a lack of mid bass. So if you don't have a wicked mid bass driver, you might want to tune some mid bass into your system to give you that thwack to go with the rumble.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, I think that if I was using 6 cubic feet tuned at 31 hertz, the pair of 12s, I would probably need a dedicated mid bass driver just to fill in that gap. A lot of this depends on what kind of music you listen to as well.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're a guy that, so this happens a lot. I just know this from being in tech support for many years. Somebody gets a really low tuned enclosure and then they listen to metal,
Yes.
And those two things usually don't work out very well.
Yeah.
If you listen to Metallica or Tool or something like that, you're probably not going to really want a 31 hertz tuned ported enclosure. There's going to be times in those songs when it really rings out, but most of the information you're listening to isn't going to have a lot of low bass recorded in it.
Right.
And you're really probably going to want something that has a snappier kick drum, smaller seal box. So, I think that a box that's tuned that low with those subwoofers, you're hopefully listening to music with a ton of low bass recorded in it.
Some dubstep or something.
Yeah, I mean, some of this rebase stuff that these guys have out there is
nasty.
Yeah, super low stuff, yeah.
Next question. Hugh again, Hugh Ruckus Kinsey. What about wire in wasted information? Good question.
That is a good question. So wire was actually included with the stuff that I got as far as the wire, the fuses, the RCAs, everything is going to be 100% Kicker other than the steel and the wood, unless Kicker's making steel and wood.
Nope.
Not anytime soon.
The still water, but yep. So the wire will be 100% Kicker brand, and all the fuses and all the RCAs. So,
excellent.
Absolutely.
Well, we'll extend your warranty for using Kicker installation components.
Right.
Yeah. You get an extra 3 years or something.
Ryan, good evening, Ryan. He asks, how much are recones for the new Solo X? Asking for Kyle.
You're asking for Kyle.
How much is the recone?
So
right.
So Kyle needs to know how I hear that. I've heard this before. So since we started working with Kyle, that nickname, the Clipo, he's going to need a lot of recones.
Sorry, I jacked up the display. Thanks, Stephen.
Yeah, we'll figure that. We'll cross that bridge when we get there. I'm sure it won't be too long.
If we get to that, right?
Yeah, I'm sure it won't be too long. We're going to figure out how long it takes Kyle.
I'm very glad that
break
they're field serviceable too. So, I'm sure I'll get that opportunity to put that in use. I've got a few because I requested a few just to see, and you know, I'm ready. I'm ready.
Very nice. So next question. Danny, welcome. Good evening. Will the Warhorse 1000.4 be Class AB? Do we know yet?
I don't know for sure. I don't want to give you any incorrect information. I don't think so. It'll probably be one of our newer designs that we've been using on some of our 4-channel amplifiers here lately that are a little bit more efficient, where we have the high-speed switching Class D stuff that plays full range. But I don't want to say that for certain. It would be unfair for me to.
Yeah, if you want it to be this big, it'll definitely be Class AB.
and
as big as a Warhorse, the original.
Yeah, the original. But no, I think it's the same footprint as the 3600.1, so yeah, it should be. I don't believe it's going to be Class AB. I think it's going to be some pretty much proprietary design like the 3600.1 is. It's
in-house stuff.
It's in our in-house design. So.
What you can be sure of is it's going to sound phenomenal. When you're obviously building systems this big, this loud, and high sensitivity drivers, you hear every flaw in a design.
Yeah.
And so it's going to absolutely be a sound quality, high SPL application amplifier. Next question. Speedway Audio 3, good evening. Thanks for being here with us. Is impedance rise more or less the same in a sealed enclosure versus ported?
I don't believe so. Well, it can be. So below the tuning frequency in a ported box, the impedance goes super high. But in the bandwidth, I think that it's a little bit flatter. The impedance curve is a little flatter in the bandwidth, audible bandwidth. The ported box and it has the big dip down in the tuning frequency, whereas a sealed box at resonance, the impedance is super high, and that's the resonance of the sealed box. But I think it's a little flatter in a ported box. Now, you can, I'm not positive on that. I haven't looked at an impedance curve on sealed versus ported in a long time. But I think that it is a little bit flatter, or a little bit lower in the bandwidth than it is in the sealed box. I think the resonance in the sealed box is right in the middle of the bandwidth. The impedance shoots super high. And the smaller the box gets, the higher the impedance spikes up at resonance. So you can flatten out an impedance curve of a woofer in a sealed box, but you want a really deep, big volume sealed box. So I think it's a little easier to do it in a vented enclosure. Again, I haven't looked at the sealed versus vented in a long time, so I'm going off of memory.
Hey
Well,
guys,
you know, and a bigger question is, go ahead, Kyle.
I'm sorry, real quick. You had horrible feedback noising. I don't know if I had a few people message me letting me know that the feedback was kind of horrible during that, just to let you know. But it sounds better now.
Ernie, we're getting some feedback on Kyle's end.
It's in StreamYard. We're working on it.
Oh, they're working on it.
It's in StreamYard.
Thanks, Kyle. They're working on fixing it.
It's my fault.
It's in StreamYard. No. But I want to come back for the guys and girls watching that aren't familiar with box rise, impedance curve changes. Why do we care about that, really?
Well, so box rise, I'll tell you what, in these applications with the big demo stuff or dedicated SPL applications where I think that it's more critical. So what can happen is you want to get a pretty flat impedance curve so you can get the most power out of the amplifier you possibly can. That's why you see these guys load the amplifiers way down below their rated their rated impedance.
Right.
You know, if an amplifier makes full power at 2 ohm, these people load these amplifiers down to half ohm because they know that at the frequency they're playing, the impedance is much higher. So they might be at 2 or 3 times what the DC resistance of the coil is at rest. But whenever when they play the frequency that they're playing in dedicated SPL, or if they're playing the bandwidth that they're playing in these demo applications, they're able to achieve more power by loading their amplifiers way down. Now the amp has to start that load,
Yes.
So it has to be able to, have the
horsepower.
to start this very, very low resistance or this very low resistive load. But once the woofer's moving in the enclosure, the impedance is much higher than the load that they started, so they're able to achieve a little more power out of these amplifiers whenever they load them way down. I'll tell you where a flat impedance curve makes the biggest difference to me is in a mid-range speaker. If you're into sound quality at all, because if the speakers are designed correctly, you're getting the same power across the bandwidth or close to the same power across the bandwidth that you ask the speaker to play. And that makes it have less colorization. You're getting the same power, so the output's a lot more even and flat. And then you can really hear the speaker's design instead of dealing with the enclosure that you're listening to. That's where people get into a lot of the transmission line stuff, and I think it's way more important that you do a transmission line design with a mid-range speaker than it ever would be with a subwoofer, because the box gets huge, but you can flatten out the impedance curve, and you actually get hear the way the speaker's supposed to sound, and the enclosure has no effect on it.
Wow, that is some deep stuff right there. Thank you. Kyle, are we still with us?
All I see is numbers everywhere. So,
that's
the
good stuff.
The amount of people that I hear running their amplifiers at quarter ohm and stuff like that is just it's amazing. It's amazing that they still have a vehicle.
Yes.
Yeah, a lot of those guys don't have fuses either.
We always recommend fuses. Please use fuses. Ben asks, will the van be at Slamology 2024?
Absolutely.
You're going to be at Slamology? Yep.
I will be there as long as
that's right, because the other
Slamology's
gentleman
there.
asked for a demo.
Yep, I'll be there. Hopefully, I'll be underneath the kicker. I'll be at the kicker tent, if that's available. So, because I know you guys have a section over there that's already full, but if there's a opportunity to be in the tent at kicker, I would definitely be at the tent at kicker at Slamology.
Well, all the higher-ups just heard you ask, so here we are. Well done.
Fingers crossed.
Next question. What do we got? Dean. Welcome, Dean. Thanks for being here tonight. On the Comp RT 10-inch, down-firing loaded enclosure, great enclosure, it says it's tuned at 42 hertz. Should I set my crossover at 42 hertz, or should I set it lower using a DM810?
So if you're talking about your subsonic filter, I wouldn't set it down. I wouldn't set it up to 42 hertz. I would set it at 25 hertz and on your subsonic filter, which is your high pass crossover, if you want to use a high pass crossover. I mean, that all depends on what type of stuff you listen to, if you even need one. But I would set the low pass crossover up pretty high, probably close to 80 hertz at 24 dB per octave is a good starting point. And a lot of people think that there's like a specific number on a low pass crossover point that's going to help them. Like that's going to give the speaker the best performance. Set your high pass crossover where it sounds the best to you. I mean, some people go up, depending on the type of music they listen to or what they're trying to achieve, they'll go up to 100 hertz on their low pass. They'll go down to 60 hertz on their low pass. I mean, a lot of things dictate that, how strong your mid bass drivers are. If you've got a pair of 6x9s in the front door, you can get those to play pretty low. And if you want a lot of bass up front, then you might set your high pass on your 6x9s at 60 hertz and your low pass on your subwoofer at 50 hertz. But you can do you can go the other way too, and you can run a higher low pass for your subwoofer if you have smaller drivers, and you get a little bit more kick out of the sub. So don't be afraid to mess with your crossover, your low pass crossover point. It's never going to hurt you to adjust it low or high. The only mistake I've ever seen somebody make is setting their crossover point too low from the jump and never working it up, and they just keep turning the gain up because they don't feel like they're getting enough bass. It's because they're filtering out most of what they're playing. So,
well, and this is a good opportunity too to talk briefly about the subsonic filter, because he was kind of asking that question, sort of. What's the benefit of subsonic filters in these big bass systems?
So in a big bass system, like the demo systems, there's no need for one for most of these guys. I mean, they want it to play below 25 hertz. They're going to make sure that it plays below 25 hertz. That's one of their goals from the very beginning. I mean, I've seen them running 20 hertz at 165, 170 dB at some of these big shows, and it's really, really impressive, and it's super windy, and that's what these guys are in this for. So there's no need for for a high pass filter for these guys, not for the big bass guys. But there's some protection that's there. If you're using it in your normal daily system and you don't listen to a lot of stuff that plays super low, a subsonic filter it's exactly that. It's supposed to filter out frequencies that aren't really part of the music. Now, some of this rebass music, they take the fundamental and they play an octave below and boost it. So if it's 50 hertz, the octave below, that's 25 hertz, and then they boost 25 hertz to make 25 hertz really strong. So if that's what you're into and that's what you listen to, a subsonic filter is not for you. But it improves the longevity of a subwoofer. And you're not asking the amplifier to make power at a frequency you're not listening to, so you get more efficiency across the bandwidth that you're listening to.
Sure.
But it also saves the subwoofer suspension. If you want your sub to last for a really long time and you don't want it playing information that you're not going to listen to in the type of music that you listen to, then it's going to keep the sub from moving. Yeah, it's
wasted information.
It's wasted at that point. But yeah, I mean, when you're playing below that really low frequency, you're asking the spider and the surround to do a lot of work to control the subwoofer, and you can damage it eventually. I'm not saying that it's not gonna happen right off the bat, but I mean, you can if you want your sub to live for a long time and you want to get the most out of it for the longest period of time that you can, a subsonic filter could be beneficial.
And this is $219. Thank you for the information, Mr. Bambrow. So if you don't want to buy it, no, I'm just kidding. Yeah, so subsonic, depending on the music, the enclosure, it could be a really good thing.
Yeah.
And you mentioned some people turn their low pass too far down. I've seen people turn their subsonic way too high, and they're going, where's the low bass? There's no rumble.
Yeah.
Because you filtered it all out.
Yeah, that's exactly what will happen, too. That's what it's supposed to do.
Next question, please. Oh, we're out of questions. That's it. What? Whoa. So, Kyle, thank you again for your time tonight. We appreciate you being here, and I look forward to a follow-up conversation when you got some pictures to show us.
Absolutely, absolutely. Thank you so much. Thank you. Like I said, it's been a very nice experience with Kicker, and I hope the future is going to be even bigger. So, thank you guys so much.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Good night, sir.
Thank you, Kyle. Thanks, Kyle. Thanks for coming.
Thanks, Jeremy, for all your knowledge, man.
My eyes roll in the back of my head and I just start talking. So I don't know where it comes from.
You're channeling.
Yeah.
Oh. Good night, sir.
Yeah. Thanks again, Kyle.
And Jeremy, thank you for being here, man. It's been a pleasure hanging out with you.
Nice hanging out with you as well. You do a really good job at this. I enjoy watching you up here.
Thank you.
I'm glad you and John are hosting now. You guys are doing good. And thanks for having me.
Can you believe we get paid to do this, man?
Yeah, no. It's so much fun.
It's incredible.
I mean, there's only one other thing I'd want to do and get paid for, and that's just catching bass. But then I turned my hobby into a job, and I've already got that, so I'm just super fortunate. I'm super fortunate. So.
All right, well, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to take a short break. Jeremy's going to go home and go to bed, and we'll be right back, so stay tuned. Good night, sir.
Good night.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Something bad, your hands on the wheel, got a sexy touch. It's enough to make me and my Chevy blush. So long. Take it off with that highway. Turn me on, I'll let you drive, babe. You can take it fast as you want to. Girl, a little dirty, looks damn good on you. Start me up, Stones on the radio. Girl, I love it when you let go. Don't waste your way in the wrong way. Get off on some 4x4 play.
Welcome back. Well, there I am. Sorry, I had to follow the red light. So now, when I get my notes up here, we're going to talk about the questions of the week. We've always got some great questions. As you probably know, Mr. Jacob Lucky, JL, Jacob Lucky, funny how that works out. Mr. Jacob Lucky is not here tonight, but he did give me some questions for the week. So let's start off with the first question, which is, it's a really long question. I'm going to paraphrase it for you, just get to the good part. The question is, my amplifier is going into protection mode, and I need to know if the amp is bad or if there's something else going on. The power from the amp to ground is just between 8.9 to 9.9 volts. Ding, 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 ding. Red flag right there. Power to remote on amp is the same. I'm using an LC2i Pro audio control piece. It's a LOC, active LOC. And the power to ground reads the same as the battery, which is 13.4 to 13.6. So he's got solid voltage at the LC2i Pro, but not at the amplifier. So I'm going to tell you that what's happening, oh, thank you, sir. I'm going to tell you that what's happening is clearly the amplifier doesn't have enough voltage to power it up and to take it out of protection mode. So check your power, check your ground, check your connections, check your fuse, check everything that is related to that power and ground run, and I'm sure you're going to find the problem. Your amplifier is probably fine, so just check your power, check your ground. That's a pretty common one too. Anyone in tech support, Jeremy was in tech support before too, can tell you probably maybe top 2, top 3 questions we get is related to power and ground, and usually it's ground. So that is the source of your problem, so take a look at that. And if you need more questions answered, of course, get back in touch with us. Next question is, I currently own a 2022 Dodge Challenger SXT, and I replaced all my speakers with Kicker. Thank you very much. Now I want to install my Comp C loaded dual enclosure. That's a good big bass system. But I want to retain the factory UConnect display. So he wants to use the factory installed radio to go with his Kicker speakers. And he doesn't mention what kind of amplifier. I'm hoping it's a Kicker amplifier. But he goes on to say, I was looking at your KISS Load 2 smart radio interface. My question is, do I need it in order to install my subs? So that that UConnect display is what we call a smart radio. And when you disconnect the factory installed speakers from the radio thinks that the speaker is the radio thinks the speaker is blown and there's no signal there, so it's actually going to stop playing audio. So the radio still lights up, but there's no audio coming out of it. So the KISS load fools the radio into thinking there's still a factory speaker connected to it, so it continues to pass the audio. So yes, in your installation, you're going to need the KISS Load 2, and that'll go after your UConnect radio and before your amplifier. Hopefully it's a Kicker amplifier. So great question there. Third question, I purchased 6 6¾ Comp RT subwoofers. 6 Comp RT 6 3/4 inch subwoofers and 3 CXA 401s. I wish he told us what kind of car or truck he's working on, but he didn't tell us this in this question. But that's kind of cool. I like seeing systems with a bunch of 6½ inch, 6 3/4 inch subwoofers. That's kind of a fun system. His question is, how do I get the audio signal to the 3 amplifiers? Do I need a whole bunch of RCA Y adapters? If you look at the CXA 400.1 or the 800.1, it has an RCA input as well as an RCA output. So whatever signal coming into the amplifier is also able to come out of the amplifier through another set of RCA cables to the second amplifier. Out of the second amplifier into the third amplifier. So all 3 amplifiers can be connected with 3 RCA cables. One in the first amp, one into the second amp, and then the third into the third amplifier. So you don't need any Y adapters, any splitters. Just run all 3 amplifiers with the same signal. And if you want to use a bass level control, you'll not be able to use our CXA-RC because that only controls 1 amplifier. You'll either have to use 3 of those, or you'll have to find a different brand of RCA level control, or use whatever's in your head unit as the subwoofer level control. So that is the simplest way to wire that up, and you'll be thrilled with the performance. So there's our 3 questions. Thank you, Mr. Jacob Lucky. Hopefully you're at home watching us tonight. Next up, I'm going to show you some great pictures. We always like to start with the funny pictures. We call them the fail pictures, but I mean, let's be honest, it's kind of funny to see some silly stuff. And again, if you see pictures that are actually yours, we're not trying to pick on you. We're just having a good laugh and showing people maybe what not to do. So Ernie, if you'll pull up my laptop, I'm going to show some pictures. This one is pretty obvious what's going on here. The amplifier power wire is running from the engine compartment outside the hood and into the door. Oh yeah, Ernie says he's going to scratch the paint. So yeah, that's definitely a what not to do. Now I will say that I have seen this personally in my retail days. I saw a lot of weird stuff, and I get it. You got to start somewhere, and unless someone teaches you how to do it properly, how would you know? So that's the first fail. Next up, So this, a little hard to see. We've got two different, what looks like 12-inch subwoofers. It looks like the front baffle is maybe some fiber board or press board or something. We've got an Audiobond sub that has been siliconed, perhaps, into position, and then a Sony Explode. So we've got two different subwoofers, one of which has been siliconed into submission, I would say. So I'm guessing this doesn't work all that well. So yeah, number 2, what not to do. Third one, so I'm going to try and zoom this because you got to get a little closer to really get a good idea what's going on here. Take a look down here. What does that look like? That is probably a set of jumper cables. Someone took the jumper cables apart and looks like they used some electrical tape to connect that to the factory ground and just clamped it on there. Now, if you're stuck in a zombie apocalypse, that's probably good to get you home. But for a car audio system, let's not do that. Next up, again, you got to look a little close here, but this is kind of ingenious. So if you've got battery terminals that don't quite fit, or battery clamps that don't quite fit on your terminals, just shove a, what is that? Is that that's a rivet. Just shove a rivet down in there. Yeah, here, positive and negative. So, and that'll take up the slack for you. Again, zombie apocalypse, that'll probably get you home, but for a car audio system, let's just not do that. So there we go with our what not to do. Oh, wait, and that's right, Ernie sent this to me at dinner time. I know it'll fit, just take the door off. I know it'll fit, take the door off. You gotta love the guys for trying, right? I'm sure there's a crowbar off camera somewhere that they're gonna use, but yeah, just, a tape measure would solve this problem early on in the event, so. There's what not to do. Again, if this is you, I apologize. We're not trying to pick on you. We're just having some fun together and checking out what not to do. Now let's look at some cool pics. We've got some nice builds. And let's start with, Ernie, pull me back up, please. Actually, I think I saw this on Facebook. If I was surfing through there a couple nights ago. So this looks like 3 of our Comp 10s. So this is 3 10s. It looks like maybe this is a Corvette. And so the rear window is taken up with these 3 10s. Yeah, there it is. That is a Corvette. So that's a really nice looking enclosure. And I bet that thing hammers. Top down, there's subwoofers right behind your head. That thing is going to hammer and sound good doing it. So that is a nice build. And it looks like this is the same car with another 10 in the cargo space, along with probably a 800.1 CXA amplifier. And I'm not sure why we've got 2 separate subwoofer systems. I'm sure he's got a great reason for it. Maybe they're on a switch. Maybe he can take out the 3 10s when he's actually got to go on a road trip or something and still have some bass from the 4th 10. But that's a pretty nice looking build. Someone took some time and some energy into that. And here's a close-up of that finished trunk. So yeah, nice. He did some nice work on that. It's always nice to see these home builds where they do a nice job. So next up, this obviously for the sharp eye, that is a Solo X12. And if you look over here in the corner of the trunk, it looks like that's probably an 1801, a CXA 1801, and maybe a 360.4 for the mids and highs. But let's get another view of this. So yeah, it looks like 1800 and a 360.4. And then check out this ride. I am not astute enough to tell you exactly what that is. I know it's a Chevy Monte Carlo. Thank you, Ernie. Monte Carlo SS. What would that be like, early 90s?
That was in the 80s.
Late 80s, late 80s? Okay, so Monte Carlo with a Solo X12, I'm sure it gets down. So thanks to our friends at Expert Car Audio. Nice build. Appreciate you sharing that with us. So let's talk about some events that are coming up real quick, and then we'll round out the show with some free stuff. So upcoming events, we have, of course, Bass Wars. It is summertime, and it is Bass Wars time, so plenty of Bass Wars coming up. I'm not going to read all the locations. Just come to our Facebook page, and under our events section, you'll see everything I'm looking at right here. But there's also, on Sunday, we've got a Peoria Motorcycle Club doing a flat track event. No, wait, actually, this is not flat track. This is a motocross event. So that should be fun if you're in Peoria. And then we do have some other motorcycle events coming up, some flat track stuff. So check out our Facebook page to find out what's going on. Go out and support Base Wars. Even if you're not competing, just go out and show the guys and girls some love and some attention. And let's enjoy some great music together. All right, Bill, let's talk about some winners. We want to have some winners. Now, you're probably aware what we give away. First place is going to be the BF100, the Bullfrog. That's what I travel with. It fits nicely in my luggage, and it fills my hotel room with great music. So first place winner, BF100. Second place, EB400s. That's the in-ear Bluetooth monitors. And finally, the tumbler. And the tumbler is our new 50th anniversary beverage tumbler. So, Bill, let's go with the third place winner. Who's our third place winner tonight? Pop it up on screen there. Winner number 3, Omar A. from Illinois. Omar A. from Illinois, congratulations. You get the tumbler, you get a koozie, and you get a t-shirt, Kicker UnMasked t-shirt. So thanks for joining us tonight and winning something. Winner number 2, who is our second winner tonight, Bill? Pull us up. Ben B. from Oklahoma. Ben B. from Oklahoma. Hey, Ben, you're the second place winner. You get the EB400 in-ear Bluetooth monitors. You also get a t-shirt and, of course, the koozies. And, Ben, if you are anywhere nearby and you want to come to Kicker and pick up your prize, please do. Let Bill know you want to come here, and we'll be happy to give it to you here. And if I'm available, I'll give a tour as well. I love giving tours. In fact, I'm doing 3 tours this week of the whole facility, and we do a great tour. There's a lot to see. It takes about 90 minutes. So, Ben, if you are going to come up for a tour, plan on spending an hour and a half with us here. There's a lot to see, and it's a really beautiful facility. So thank you for showing up tonight. And number 1 winner, Bill, who is the number 1 winner? Said V from Texas. Said V, you're the number 1 winner. You get the BF100, you get the t-shirt and the koozies. So thank you all for showing up and being with us tonight. We appreciate it. We had a lot of fun with Kyle. I never met Kyle, but I really enjoyed hanging out with him. Jeremy's a great dude to hang out with. At dinner, we talked a lot about fishing, and man, the guy knows a lot about fishing and smoking fish. Excellent cook, or should I say chef or griller, I'm not sure, but he's good at making food taste yummy. So that is all we've got for tonight. Next Tuesday on August 1st, we're going to have Kicking It with Andy. And of course, Andy's going to be on next week on Tuesday, Kicking It with Andy. Since we don't have a show, Andy's going to do a show, and he'll have prizes and fun stuff to give away. Be sure to like us on Facebook and Kicker, and that way you'll get notified of the next shows coming up. And if you've got some ideas on what to do for a show, please send us those ideas. We would love to entertain you guys and girls with new show ideas, so please share them with us. And Ernie, I'm going to land the plane, so get ready. Good night, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks for being here.